Good evening. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for joining me on another edition of Technology Access Television. Well, you know, there's all kinds of talent scouts in the world. People are always combing, looking for the next Beyonce or the next Derrick Rose. But, you know, people are also looking for the next Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, and a lot of times they're right before our eyes. And this show we're going to do today is talking about identifying talent early and often and maybe getting them on a trajectory to be America's next great entrepreneur. You know, with all this talent scouting that's going on, we need people to focus on so many different roles that people can grow up and be successful in, but they need an opportunity to look at what success looks like to them early and often. And my guest today has a phenomenal program that you may have not heard about, but I think once you hear about this program, you're going to want to be an evangelist for this program because it's absolutely exciting and it's doing something in Chicago that really is putting Chicago ahead of the rest of the world in doing this kind of activity of early identification of sharp and talented young minds that can be groomed to be great entrepreneurs as they grow older and as they continue their trajectory of success. My guest today is Scott Issen. Thank you very much, Scott, for joining me.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm excited to be here today.
And your organization is called Future Founders.
Yes.
And that's a phenomenal name. I really love the name, and it's a great concept. Tell us how Future Founders got founded.
Sure. Well, the name actually came to me when I was working out at the gym because we were trying to come up with something that all entrepreneurs want to be called a founder of something, and we were really looking for the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. So the name really was just a perfect fit for what we wanted to accomplish.
But how did you decide to focus on, you know, you and I met, you were working with the Chicagoland Entrepreneurial Center. You were doing your work of consulting and dealing with small businesses and guys putting business plans and concepts together. But what made you think about reaching down a little bit further?
Sure. Well, I'll take you back to 2005, and a number of the entrepreneurs that we'd helped at the CEC were looking for a way to give back to the community. And many of them were very grateful for all the support that we gave them in helping them access capital and gain new client successes. So they were looking to either give back to existing entrepreneurs or help us, you know, to nurture tomorrow's entrepreneurs. Around the same time, the Motorola Foundation came to us, and 2005 was when the Razr came out and became one of the biggest selling phones in the world. And it was created right here in Chicago. So they said, we love what you're doing at the CEC. We love that you have an opportunity to really nurture entrepreneurs, but why not leverage the entrepreneurial talent that you have to really inspire the next generation of innovators or discoverers? So we created a program where we could connect today's successful entrepreneurs with tomorrow's successful entrepreneurs and provide kids an opportunity to see new role models and see a new career option that will help them succeed in the workplace.
Now, there's a guy that, of course, you know very well. I know a little bit, but he was quite a gregarious guy named Jim O'Connor.
Yes.
And I guess he probably had a little bit to do with that early conversation of connecting Motorola with giving back and connecting to find this new talent.
Yes, Jim was one of the founding co-chairs of the CEC, and he's a wonderful friend and advisor, and he saw an opportunity to really fill a need in the market. And, you know, the CEC has played a leading role in really raising the profile of entrepreneurship in the community, and I think it's the organization's, or it was and it continues to be the organization's responsibility to see the next generation of entrepreneurs. So, you know, having an opportunity to get funding from Motorola to really take this on was a great opportunity for us.
So the first year of operation was 2005, 2006?
That's correct.
Okay, and at that time, tell me what happened. Did you gather up some entrepreneurs, rustle up and get out and talk to some high schools? How did it turn from just maybe an experience into a program?
Sure. Well, it sounds like you were watching us from a back room there. Well, as good entrepreneurs, we realized that we didn't know what we were doing when it came to working with schools. I'm very honest about that. So we had just met a new organization that came to Chicago called NIFTY, or the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship.
Right.
And what NIFTY does is they provide classroom programming around entrepreneurship for primarily low-income students across the country. On top of that, they certify teachers to teach entrepreneurship and provide ongoing support to students. So they had just come to Chicago. The organization now is 25 years old, and the Chicago organization is 10 years old this year. But they were looking for a way to get more mentors and entrepreneurs into the classroom, and they also had expertise in working with schools.
Okay.
So initially we decided to partner and form a new initiative whereby we would really leverage the entrepreneurial talent that we have, provide, a number of added resources to students and go into their classrooms to really inspire students to consider entrepreneurship as a viable career option.
All right.
So that first year, we worked with 3 schools and 75 students. It was a great learning experience. I probably got some of my first gray hairs during that time.
All right.
It was just a great way to see the entrepreneurial community coming together around a cause that was near and dear to their hearts.
And what did those first, I guess when you first started, you focused on high schools and you went and talked to high school students. How did the students respond about this notion of entrepreneurship? What did you notice? Was there a disconnect? Was there a conversation? Was there a dialogue? Or was this like virgin territory for teachers and students and schools to be interacting with entrepreneurs, talking about how businesses get started, how they scale, how they grow?
Well, I think the answer is it depends. I mean, in some schools that we went to, a lot of kids had a passion for entrepreneurs, and in others it was more of, twisting arms and getting people to see it as a viable career option. I think one of the reasons we started the program and why I think it's so important is that, a lot of times in communities, specifically in African American and Latino communities, students want to become entrepreneurs, but have never really had access to programming to give them the resources to do so. And they've never even met entrepreneurs. And it's really hard to even consider a career opportunity if you've never met someone in that field. So I think if nothing else, the value that we can provide is bringing in young, talented, passionate entrepreneurs into schools to not only show them that there's a lot of great talent there, but to show students that there is a way out. There's an opportunity for them to succeed, and they don't actually have to depend on someone else to give them a job. They can actually create their own opportunity for themselves and be successful.
Now, when we talk about Chicago's startup or growth or entrepreneurial community, a lot of times the needle shifts to technology. But of course, Chicago has a phenomenal history of success in business development across the board, from restaurants to healthcare to education to TV to radio. So entrepreneurs don't all just come from the tech sector. But when you started, was there a focus around, because maybe that's who you had access to, of technology-oriented entrepreneurs, and that was a lot of the conversation?
Yeah, I think we had access to some of the brightest entrepreneurs in the tech space at the CEC, so we certainly wanted to bring those resources to students, but I think we just wanted them to see what it was like not to just create a venture, but to create a scalable venture. I mean, we were hoping that they would not only come up with an idea, but come up with an idea that could revolutionize the world, be it a Google, be it a Motorola, be it, a Groupon, just because, they needed some extra help to get to that point. So I think we've always tried to infuse technology into what we're doing, not only so that the students use technology in their businesses, but see technology businesses as a viable thing that they can create on their own. And what we've seen over the last 8 years is that students are more and more interested in technology, they're more and more connected to it, and I think they're more willing to take the risk of actually starting a venture in that space.
Well, I could certainly imagine over 8 years to go from desktop PCs to laptops to netbooks to notebooks to iPads to iPhones, and it was maybe when you first started, the computer access was in the school. Now it's on their bodies. They can pull their smartphone out of their hip pocket and talk about apps and talk about things that they're doing. But let's talk about the kind of experiences. What do the students actually do in Future Founders? How does that connection or that visual experience of seeing and talking to entrepreneurs, how does that turn into something, a skill that they can start to incorporate? What's the experience like going through Future Founders?
Sure. Well, so all the students in Future Founders are participating in the NIFTY class. So they're taking a NIFTY entrepreneurship class at their high school. So they're going through that, whether it be for a semester or a year long. So they're learning the fundamentals of starting and running a business.
Oh, good.
What we do is we provide a lot of the outside resources to give them that real world perspective and get them thinking about entrepreneurship in a different way and actually guide them one-on-one as they're creating their own ventures. So the program starts every September with an event called Big Idea Day, where we take the students down to the University of Illinois at Chicago, and we bring them together with the mentors and a lot of the volunteers that we work with to get them excited about the program and to start thinking about business ideas that they wouldn't necessarily think of outside their neighborhoods. And I think if anything, we're trying to open their eyes to not only solving problems, but identifying problems that exist in the market that they wouldn't have thought of before. Then we move into our in-class sessions. So from October through March, we visit each of the schools about 10 to 12 times and During those sessions, we bring about 4 to 6 volunteers per class and help the students brainstorm a business idea, develop an elevator pitch for that idea, and actually build out a full business plan.
So it's a year-long process.
It's a year-long process.
And at the end, there's a capstone event where the students actually present their ideas, kind of like a Shark Tank or a pitch to investors or get in front of VCs?
Exactly. So we do a class competition. So every student presents a business plan. We bring them downtown so they can have an experience in a more professional environment than just presenting in their classroom. The winners move on to our finals competition, which we host every year at the Hard Rock Cafe. So it's like American Idol meets entrepreneurship.
All right.
I'm like Ryan Seacrest minus the product and the $15 million a year salary.
All right.
And it's a great way to bring everyone together around, what we've worked hard to do throughout the year. And we were lucky enough in 2009 and 2010 that Mayor Daley came out to our competition. And,
wow.
He was so impressed with the students that he passed resolutions both years to recognize them in front of City Council. So that was a great opportunity.
And what's in it for the young people? What do they get beyond recognition?
Sure.
Some of them say, look, I want to go somewhere with this business plan. I'm looking for some money. I'm looking for some capital.
Yes.
I want to do something with this business.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we want to bring, give the kids a toolkit. So we want to give them all the skills that they need to be successful with. And, I think what's great about entrepreneurship is everything that you do, whether it be sales, whether it be financial literacy, whether it be just giving an elevator pitch, these are all skills that you need no matter what you do.
That's correct.
And it just really puts it together in something that makes sense for kids. And, to be able to make a profit off of it is something that's even better. So I think a lot of them want to start businesses, but our first hope is that they go to college.
Exactly
and,
right.
Hopefully through this program and through this curriculum and all these resources, they see that there's a lot of great opportunities out there, but they need to continue to pursue education to get to that point.
So it really helps set up a bigger view of saying, yes, I'm smart, yes, I've got some good ideas, but now I'm smart enough to know what I don't know.
Exactly.
And why school matters, why more experience matters. So now I can see myself on a track to really, maybe I didn't think about going to college before now, but now I'm pretty fired up about going to college because I know that I might go to Babson or I might go to DePaul or I might go somewhere that has a business that's what I want to major in. I really have a passion for this and I want to continue that experience.
And, it's very interesting. I mean, there's so many of these stories, and I'm just hoping, 1 year down the road as we work with more and more students, I'll be able to go to, I won't be able to go anywhere in the city without seeing some of the students that we've worked with and seeing them, be big successes. I spoke with one of the champions of our citywide competition last week, and he told me there's not a day that he doesn't wake up in the morning thinking about the opportunity that he had and how it's really put him on a trajectory for success. And he was just so grateful for all the resources and the exposure and the opportunity to stand up in front of 350 people and showcase an idea and be successful. And, I think it really, instills kids with confidence and gives them, a direction and shows them that people believe in them and that they can succeed. And, you hear a lot of negative things about what's going on within the school system, but there are a tremendous amount of bright spots.
No question about it. Now, I understand that your program is about to expand, and you touch how many kids, or over the years, how many kids did you typically touch from where you started until you scaled a little bit? And so you got to a certain point, because Chicago's a big city, and sometimes you hear about these programs, they say, oh, we work with 50 kids, and you're like, well, 50 kids, that really makes a difference in a system of about 400,000. So now, what kind of scalability do you have?
Sure. Well, so it's interesting. So the first, 4 or 5 years of Future Founders, we served anywhere from about 75 to 200 kids, which, while we were focused on, adult entrepreneurs at the CEC, 200 students with all these mentoring sessions, was still a big undertaking. In 2011, as the CEC was really poised to do new things and open up 1871, we were looking for new ways to really unlock the potential of Future Founders. Because if anything, we had a lot of success. We had built a program model that was scalable. We'd gotten a lot of great feedback from our sponsors, and the students loved it. So we said, we want to do more and really unlock the program's potential. So we decided to spin out. So, I left having I wouldn't say a corporate or a desk job, but, I moved away from the safety net, and we decided to spin the program out of the organization.
So Future Founders became its own freestanding enterprise, and it was time to scale your operation.
Exactly. And then as luck would have it, or as timing would have it, one of the great serial entrepreneurs in Chicago, Brad Keywell, had approached us because he had launched a career exposure program called Connect to the Future, which was all about working with middle and high school students and exposing them to a wide variety of careers. And he said he wanted to do more with his program, and we said we wanted to do more with our program. So we said, well, why not do more with our programs together?
All right.
So we decided to partner, and in 2011 we created the Future Founders Foundation, which is our new nonprofit 501c3 that really seeks to provide these career exposure programs for low-income youth in Chicago. So this past year we actually relaunched Connect to the Future with a partnership through Accenture and CME Group Foundation. Wow. And what we're doing now is we're working at 8 middle and high schools across the city and about 525 kids. And we're exposing kids to a wide variety of careers, connecting them with mentors in those fields, and actually helping them to develop professional skills like networking and public speaking.
I think I heard something about this. So I think, what, did Accenture help validate or put together some of the curriculum content? Because,
yes.
you know, and it's really amazing. It's about time that our larger businesses started to wake up, and in fact America started to wake up, that we need to get everybody off the bench and into the game.
That's
We've
true.
got this latent talent that must be energized, that must be tapped into. And so they need certain skill sets, and everybody knows what those skill sets are. But if we're not exposing those skill sets to people younger so that they can get on a pipeline to then be part of a process, so instead of people wondering, we don't have enough engineers, we don't have enough developers, we don't have enough marketers. We've got plenty of people that have that talent, but they have never been exposed. And so this is creating that kind of pipeline through these kinds of programs.
Exactly. And you know what was so wonderful about it, Accenture, you know, they have a whole Skills to Succeed initiative.
That's correct, yeah, right.
So they provided 350 hours of pro bono support as we helped to develop our Pathways to Career curriculum. So they actually built out all of the lessons that we use within the classrooms, and they send their employees into the schools to help us deliver the curriculum.
Right
so
on.
It's been a wonderful partnership, and CME Group Foundation also provided added resources so we could expand to more schools. So
that really brought then the middle school track to kind of lead up to the high school track of Future Founders.
So, and that, if nothing else, I mean, last year we worked with about 550 students between both programs, and this school year we're at 840.
All right.
So that would be a huge amount of growth, because that's in the 55% range, and considering in this economy or where a lot of organizations are closing doors.
That'll put you somewhere on the Inc. 500.
Exactly, something like that.
Right.
But we're even more excited about a new partnership that we had that we just announced recently.
Okay.
And you know what's exciting and what's interesting, you know, as I work in this space, is everyone says you need to start earlier.
Even earlier than middle school.
Even earlier.
That's right.
And you know, so we've always been looking at ways to really provide more resources and build a pipeline of services to students, because you know, entrepreneurs can be born, and there's a lot of them that I meet every day that I feel that this is just part of their DNA. But in many cases, you know, others can just learn and you know, benefit from the help of others to be successful. So we're excited that we are the new home of Lemonade Day Chicago, which is actually a national initiative, and it's a gateway entrepreneurship experience to get youth, you know, starting as early as kindergarten.
Wow.
Although our focus is going to really be from 3rd through 7th grade to understand what it takes to run a small business.
All right.
All through the lens of a lemonade stand.
And this is pretty popular. I think there's been national media exposure for this. I've certainly heard of this lemonade stand day or something that happens. This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so the program started in Houston in 2006, and you know, the goal is to provide resources to kids and guided activities to help them look through all of the aspects of what it would take to open up a lemonade stand, from securing a location to coming up with a recipe for lemonade, to working with customers, to figuring out the accounting, to figuring out price points. And then the program culminates with a citywide day where kids across the area run lemonade stands and kind of showcase their efforts.
All right.
So in the first year, so in 2012, the program actually served 150,000 youth in America and Canada in about 36 cities. This year in Chicago, our goal is to touch 10,000 youth.
Whoa.
And based on the recruiting that we're at, and we already have about 35 schools signed on, I think we should easily hit that number.
Wow.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. So this will start in calendar year 2013?
Yes. So Lemonade Day program activities, the recruiting season is underway right now. The students will actually receive materials. They all get backpacks and workbooks and carrying adult guides that will be delivered to schools in April. And the teachers in schools can either decide to run the program during the day, after school, as a parent-led activity. And then June 8th, which is a Saturday, is a day across Chicago where these students are going to actually be selling lemonade and becoming entrepreneurs themselves.
Right on. So this is breaking news.
So this is breaking news. You heard
right
it here
on
first.
TechAccessTV.
Exactly.
You heard it first. Well, timing is everything. That's why you said, well, let me just wait a little while before I come on because I'm going to have something to work on.
Yes.
Well, that's great news. So
Thank you.
That means that this program has gone from 75, 100 kids to 250 to 400 to 800, and now all the way up to 11,000.
Yes.
That is pretty good growth.
We have our nice hockey stick like a lot of the entrepreneurial firms
Somebody
have
might
as well.
be ready to write a check around here, huh?
I hope so.
And this has got to be a wonderful feeling for you to see this kind of results, see this kind of impact, and also, but really probably great. You know, I saw a story last night that was on television, and it talked about how Aurora was able to do some programs that dealt with mentoring, that dealt with recognition, giving awards to young men all throughout the academic experience from 3rd and 4th and 6th grade all through high school, and even some that had gone to college and been successful. And out of this kind of recognition activity, it caused young people in the community and families and their supporters to think differently. And so Aurora went from having some challenges with gangs and challenges with hostility and that kind of activity, where last year in Aurora, there were no homicides at all.
Yes.
And that was just a wonderful story. And the story that you're talking about is the kind of story that needs to get out here. Is that, yes, right now Chicago is caught up with some real horrific challenges. And we cannot afford anybody to go to school and to think that going to school is a risk or going to school is a health hazard. But with these kinds of things, opening up new opportunities, we need a complete entrepreneurial revival throughout the entire city, not just on one floor of a building, but it needs to spread and permeate every community. And I think your program is maybe the kind of thing that's going to make that happen, to get the entrepreneurial conversation back out where it's supposed to be in each and every community in this entire city of Chicago. So my hat's off to you, Scott,
Thank you so
and
much.
all of the people that support your program. And so this has really got to be a phenomenal feeling for you to see this program go this way.
It is, and it's one of those things, you know, people always ask me, how did you get into this space, or why did you start this? And, you know, I think when there's a good idea and you have great people around you and so many organizations, I mean, you need someone leading the charge, but it really does take a community. And when I think about, you know, the hundreds of volunteers that we have going in the classrooms on a daily basis and the amazing corporate support that we have, I mean, you really need the whole community to get around this. I mean, we would be able to get something done if we were able to go into schools and bring resources, but to have names like Motorola Solutions and Accenture and CME Group and Bank of America and Baxter and, you know, Coleman Foundation, these organizations providing support to students, you know, then we can get a lot more accomplished.
Yeah, you mentioned the Coleman Foundation. They've been a big supporter of entrepreneurship. In fact, Nifty, I was thinking, I knew it was one, Nifty, they were very involved with Nifty. And, you know, Chicago, when we really go back, Chicago's a story of entrepreneurship. You know, Motorola was a company that was on the west side of Chicago.
Exactly.
You know, IIT, Bronzeville, I do a lot of work out in the Bronzeville community. The guy that invented the cell phone is an IIT alum, Martin Cooper, who went to Motorola, and that's where he put those products together. And so reconnecting the idea of vision and entrepreneurship and innovation back to these very neighborhoods where they originally came from is what we really need to have done. So what can we look for this? And first of all, how can people get involved if they hear about this and say, hey, I'd like to find out more about the program? Maybe I can come out and be one of those mentors or one of those coaches. Are you recruiting that kind of talent? Do you want entrepreneurs to come out and say, hey, I want to give a few hours or give a few months?
Yeah, we are always looking for more volunteers. No matter what time of year it is, we always need more help. And we make it really easy. So if you go to our website, futurefounders.com, click on the Get Involved tab, there's a lot of different opportunities that business professionals can select to get involved. Mm-hmm. So we need people to be business plan coaches for our high school students and future founders. We need speakers to come into the classroom, share their career background and lead activities for our Connect to the Future program. We need after-school instructors to help deliver the Lemonade Day curriculum to students. Plus, just having opportunities to recruit more volunteers for us or make a donation, because every dollar helps. And, you know, for a price point, because they're always asking nonprofits, how much does it cost you to run operations? It costs $4 to serve a student for Lemonade Day.
Wow.
$4. And the average student last year, the average lemonade stand made $95 of profit.
So your goal is really to make Chicago the number one city for youth entrepreneurship in the entire world. and it looks like you're well on your way to making that happen.
I hope so. That would be a great place for us to be.
Well, you've been hearing from Scott Issen of Future Founders, and now you're finding out that they have programs that start as early as first grade that go right up the pipeline all the way through the rest of the entrepreneurial life cycle. And they connect you with people who care, people who have a passion, just like we do, for entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. Please go to futurefounders.com. Please go to futurefounders.com and learn about this phenomenal program. This program could be going on in a school near you right now. Probably already is. We probably just haven't heard that much about it. I want to thank Scott for coming on today. My hat's off and success to you this year. I'm glad we could break this news to the Chicago viewing audience. Hey, look, that's why you watch this show. That's why we're here, to be a community service, to bring great news and good news to you about change that's happening to lift this community up. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for being on this edition of Technology Access Television.